How you doing, guys? It is Scannerbarkly here. In today's video we're going to take a look at the Mesa Warframe, which was released with update 15.5. If you want to get your hands on this Warframe, you will be able to buy it on the marketplace for, I think it's 325 platinum, or you can do the Patient Zero quest. There'll be a link in the description below to a video to tell you how to do that rather than fill up time repeating myself here. And then you'll need to grind on Mutalist Alad V boss fight to get all your parts. It's not an easy grind. I'm going to say that right now. Okay, let's get stuck into the base stats. You're looking at a health of 125 or 375 at rank 30, a power of 100 or 150 at rank 30, armor of 65, shield capacity of 75 or 225 at rank 30, so that's pretty low. Sprint of 1.0, stamina of 100. She also has effective hidden buffs, and current known ones include a plus 20% reload speed on secondary weapons, sniper rifles gaining punch through of 1 meter, bows gaining 20% ammo capacity, and having an improved movement speed of 20% when aiming down sight, unlike other Warframes. So that's the rough basics. Let's get stuck into the abilities. Up first is an ability called Ballistic Energy, and what this does is it basically stores damage caused by your weapons. You trigger it, it starts to store damage. You'll see a little counter down at the number 1 ability symbol that'll go from 1 to 100. 100 is the maximum capacity that you can store. Then you recast it, and on your next shot all that damage will be released. The amount of damage it holds is 40%, 50%, 60% or 70% depending on your rank of the damage that nets you each energy. It's kind of an odd ability because it kind of feeds into itself. The more damage that you do, the more energy that you can store and quicker, and the more you can store it and release it, the more damage you'll do over time. So it's an odd little feedback loop of a ability, and it has huge potential to do an awful lot of damage. It's affected by power strength, which is always nice, and I've seen some pretty big numbers on this thing when I'm shooting it. There'll be a little clip here, I think, of a pretty high value that you can get. It seems to work best with crit weapons. Stuff with high crit like a Soma seems to be very good because you're storing an awful lot of the crits as you're building the energy, and then you have a high chance to crit when you release, and the numbers you can see can be pretty ridiculous. It's not a bad ability at all. Okay, up next is an ability called Shooting Gallery, and what this does is it kind of casts this energy lasso around you, and what that does is it will increase the damage that you yourself do. There'll be a 10, 15, 20 or 25% damage boost depending upon your rank, and it will also travel between teammates, so it will kind of randomly move from you to other teammates for a given duration of time. It's also got a secondary effect in that it will jam the weapons. It will randomly target and jam the weapons of enemies. Now this can happen pretty fast. I've been jamming up entire rooms depending on how many bad guys are in there, and the jam can happen for quite a while. So it definitely adds quite a bit to your survivability in and of itself, which is great. It's affected by power strength, power range and power duration mods as well, which is important. Overall, it's a pretty interesting ability, although I'm not particularly sold on the randomness of it moving about the place. You want to kind of stick close to your squad. It's a strong ability if your squad are the kind of squad who are kind of playing on top of each other and keeping everybody kind of up and in the game and active and alive. Okay, up next, ability called Shatter Shield. What this does is kind of surrounds you with like a very faint outline of energy, and it reduces incoming damage from bullets. It will take anywhere from 50, 60, 70 to 80% of incoming damage depending entirely upon the rank of your frame, and it will last for 10, 15, 20 or 25 seconds, once again dependent on the rank of your frame. It's affected by power strength and power duration mods. You can never, however, get 100% damage reduction. Max damage reduction you can get, I believe, is 95%. So that's a big thing, and once again it's all based around adding some survivability because she's got some low shields, and it's got a 75 energy cast as well, so it's pretty high cast. But what it kind of does is it allows you to mitigate against one of the bigger weaknesses of your ultimate by reducing incoming damage, And it also allows you to just, move. Like if you really, really need to move across a room that's heavily populated, basically you can do that. So you can drop your 75 energy, move across the room, take out a couple of people on the way, and hopefully get that energy back, putting yourself in a better position. So it definitely adds to their survivability and gives increased opportunity for mobility as well. So their ultimate is called Peacemaker. And this for me makes the frame. Not particularly because of how effective it is, but because of how goddamn fun it is. So what basically happens with Peacemaker is you cast it, and the 2 guns that are on Mesa's arms will come into play, the Peacemaker weapons, and you click the buttons. You just click to fire, and she will auto fire anything that's on the screen. And once you're clicking, it will be shooting something, and she will cut through enemies. Now, the strength that it actually does, the amount of damage that it does, that's very hard for me to figure out, but it's 100% of its base damage, and then 133, 166, or 200% depending on the rank of the frame and the rank of the actual ability itself. It's not affected by range, but it seems to have a massive range. I've yet to have anything on the screen that it wasn't actually able to hit. It is, however, affected by power strength. It's got its own damage profile of slash, puncture, and impact, but once again, it's very difficult to figure out what this stuff actually, is precisely. And it works on a drain. Every second, it will take 10 energy, and it will stay, active until you either uncast just by, recasting it and go back to normal, or until you run out of energy. So that's fine. Not a bad ability in the slightest. One of the downsides, you are vulnerable to damage while you're actually cast it, which is, kind of sucks, but it's a good balance. You can just use the Shatter Shield to kind of negate that, which is fine. And you can utilize Ballistic Battery while you're doing it. But here's the crux of this one. You can't activate it while you're doing it, but you can deactivate it. So you can store lots of damage, you can go into Peacemaker, and then you can just, boom, level a bad guy with the damage that you're going to be doing. Now, there's lots of rumours going around that the damage of it is affected by the weapon that you've just shouldered and stuff like that, but I have found that to be not the case at all. I've done some testing. I'll have some clips coming up here on the screen of me using my Soma and my Bolter Prime on the same target, on Forage, using him as a test piece, and you can see the numbers from the impacts are the same each time, and the damage profiles of those weapons are dramatically different. I even have a particularly bad against infested setup going on one of them, just to make sure, just to effectively gimp the gun and make sure that nothing like that was happening. What seems to be the case is, depending upon the kind of resistances and armor makeup of what you're hitting, will dictate how much damage that it's going to take. But it's a fun ability. It really is a huge amount of fun to kind of move into a group, hit your Shatter Shield, then pop that and just drop absolutely everything. It's great for low level wave clear, which is kind of nice, and comparative low level wave clear as well, depending on how you actually build the frame itself. Overall, I find Mesa to be a huge amount of fun. I don't think, in my opinion, it's massively viable for kind of endgame stuff. I don't really see that in its life. It's a little bit too fragile. I imagine it's going to get a rework based off community feedback and stuff like that, but we'll just wait and see what happens. But for now, it is a huge amount of fun, and it's very useful against people like Grenier, people like the Corpus, lots of ballistic based enemies. And I found it, I actually managed to net a couple of solo rescues which had been annoying me as of late. I managed to finish them up, which was quite nice and very enjoyable to actually get that done, because I was able to just hit the Shatter Shields, hit the shooting range, and just take very, very little damage on the return while I was doing important things that needed to be done in order to complete those missions. So it wasn't bad at all. But that's my little early breakdown on the Mesa. I'll probably do another video later in its life after I have a chance to properly test it out on some serious T4 level stuff and see how it holds. But overall, there's a couple of things working against it for the late game, in my opinion, which would be a lack of AoE a huge focus on single target damage, you know, outside of the Peacemaker itself, and a general lack of kind of survivability compared to a lot of the other frames that are in there. No doubt a skilled player will do great things with based off timing and you know, opportunity, but that's just my take on the frame itself. That said, I really enjoy using it, and I am going to use it a lot. I can already tell. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks very much for watching, and all the best.